Have you ever really looked at your own mind and thought, this is the most powerful tool I have, but it came with absolutely no instruction manual?
It really is the ultimate paradox.
Right. It drives everything, but it's constantly fighting you. It drags you into these worry loops or distractions and just that endless mental noise.
And we end up being slaves to that chaos. But, today we're diving into a very precise, a very systematic way to reverse that relationship.
To move from being controlled by the mind to mastering it.
Exactly. We are exploring Swami Vivekananda's guide, meditation, and its methods.
And what's so important about this source is that it's not just some, casual self-help book. Vivekananda took these incredibly deep concepts from ancient Indian philosophy.
From the Upanishads, from these huge sacred texts.
And he distilled them. He basically engineered a practical step-by-step path for someone living a modern, really demanding life.
He did. So this deep dive is your shortcut to understanding that whole approach. Our mission is to lay out the framework for you, not just the techniques, but the mindset, the prep work, and the philosophical purpose you need to achieve real self-realization and inner peace.
Okay, so let's start with the very foundation of it all, the why. Why did Vivekananda think it was so important to spend all this effort mastering your internal world? What's the real payoff?
Well, it starts with a huge shift in thinking. He says meditation is not a means to an external end. It's not about getting a promotion or even just a moment of calm.
So it's not just stress relief.
Not at its core. The purpose is fundamentally spiritual realization. It's about accessing the divine that is already within you.
That sounds like a massive idea. Can you break that down? What does divine within actually mean in practical terms?
It means getting the constant mental chatter, all the thoughts, the sensory noise, to quiet down enough that you can experience the Atman.
The true self.
The true, unchanging self. It's the part of you that's separate from your ego, from your body. And when you experience that, you're also experiencing its connection to Brahman, the universal consciousness, or ultimate reality.
So the goal is to get so still that this connection becomes, a real experience, not just a concept you read about.
Precisely. It becomes a lived reality.
And this is where the philosophy becomes so powerful, so motivational. He says, and this is a core belief, that every single person is potentially divine.
Yes.
So the goal of life isn't to get divinity, but to manifest this divinity within by controlling nature, external and internal.
And meditation is the tool for that. It's fundamentally an act of self-discovery, not self-improvement. It forces this unification of the subject, which is you, the observer, and the object, which is that ultimate reality you're seeking.
You stop seeing yourself as separate from everything else.
You move your focus entirely inward, and that separation starts to dissolve.
Okay, if the goal is that kind of unification, I can't imagine you just stumble into it. There has to be some serious groundwork. What does he say about preparation?
Preparation is everything. And he's very, very specific about it. You need to establish a quiet place. You need proper posture.
Right, the sitting cross-legged, straight spine. Why does that matter so much if this is all about the mind?
Because the body and the mind are completely linked. They're not separate. Proper posture gives you stability and alertness, but without any strain. It minimizes physical distractions.
So you're not fidgeting or thinking about your back hurting.
Exactly. And crucially, it helps in what he would call psychic conservation. When your body is stable, you aren't wasting energy constantly adjusting. That conserved energy is the fuel for concentration.
That makes a lot of sense.
So he advocates for simplicity, discipline, and just consistency. A consistent place, a consistent time.
Right, so once you're sitting down, ready to go, you hit the main obstacle.
You hit the main antagonist, yes. The restless mind, which he famously describes as the monkey mind.
And not just a monkey, right? I've heard it described as a monkey that's been stung by scorpions.
That's the one. It's agitated, it's jumping all over the place, and you absolutely cannot tame it with brute force.
So what are the specific things that make it so hard to control?
He points to three main things. Just pure restlessness, then a pervasive sense of doubt like, is this even working? And of course, external distractions. A car horn, an itch, anything at all. They're all traps that pull your mind's energy outward. The mind is just so used to processing things. Stopping that feels unnatural. It can almost feel painful at first.
So how do you deal with that? You can't fight it, because fighting it just gives the monkey more attention.
And that's the key insight. You don't achieve control through conflict. You achieve it through detachment.
Okay, what does that look like in practice?
You observe the thought. Maybe it's a worry about work. Maybe it's a great idea. It doesn't matter. You just acknowledge it. You might even label it in your head as thinking, but you do it without attachment, without judgment.
So you let it pop up on your mental screen, but you don't grab it and start a new movie with it.
That's a perfect way to put it. You see the noise, you let it pass through you, and then very gently, you bring your focus back to your anchor point. It requires persistence, and it requires faith that every single time you bring the mind back, you're strengthening that muscle.
It's like training a puppy, not fighting a war.
Exactly. Steady, gentle effort. So now we can get into the actual mechanics. If preparation is the groundwork, then concentration is the foundational skill. It's the key to everything. It's how you direct all that scattered mental energy.
Which sounds simple, but is incredibly hard. How do you start forcing the mind to focus on just one thing when it wants to do 1,000 things?
The first practical step is to pick an anchor, something reliable. For many, that's the breath. It's always there, it's not intellectual. Or it could be a mantra, a word or sound you repeat.
And by fixing your mind on that one point, you start the process of drawing inward.
Yes, and that focus is the first step on what Vivekananda calls the ladder of meditation.
Okay, let's climb that ladder. The text gives a really clear progression. We start with concentration, which is dharana. What's the next rung up?
Next, you ascend to pratyahara. This is the withdrawal of the senses, and this is so important.
What does that mean, though? It's not like you can just turn off your hearing.
It's not about ignoring noise, it's about plugging the massive energy leaks the mind uses every second to process all that external data. When you can successfully do that, all that conserved psychic energy is suddenly available for deeper internal work. You're no longer dependent on external input.
Wow, that totally reframes it. It's not some mystical power, it's psychic conservation. Okay, so once you've plugged the leaks and withdrawn the senses, you move to dhyana. What is that?
Dhyana is deep contemplation. This is true meditation. The mind isn't fighting anymore. The flow of attention is just continuous, uninterrupted. The focus on your object, the breath, the mantra, whatever, is so complete that the line between you, the observer, and the thing being observed just vanishes.
You stop thinking about the subject and you start to merge with it.
You merge with it.
That sounds very intense and maybe purely intellectual. But I know Vivekananda also makes room for the heart. He talks about bhakti, or devotion. Why is that necessary when the process seems so systematic?
Because without feeling, the practice can become very dry. It can become cold and rigid, just another intellectual exercise where the ego is still secretly in charge. Bhakti adds that crucial element of surrender, of love for the divine.
So if you're chanting a mantra, you do it with real feeling.
With sincere feeling, yes. If you're contemplating a form, you do it with devotion. That emotional depth softens the whole process and it helps dissolve the ego, which is ultimately what has to happen for that final unification.
So for you, the learner, the key advice here is to pick a method that resonates with your whole being, not just your brain. Whether it's mindfulness or mantra chanting or visualization, it's the sincerity of your focus plus that devotion that really matters.
And if we look beyond the mechanics, let's just summarize the holistic payoff he promises from doing this consistently. It's about total internal development.
And the benefits they're huge. It's not small stuff. We're talking about dramatically improved clarity, sharp mental focus, a deep sense of inner peace, emotional balance.
True self-control.
Right. And these aren't just things you feel while you're meditating. They translate into your daily life.
Absolutely. Vivekananda makes that link crystal clear. He says, the calmer we are, the less disturbed our nerves, the more shall we love and the better will our work be.
That's the ultimate proof, isn't it? It's not about getting a spiritual high for 20 minutes. It's about having a baseline of calm that makes you more effective, more patient, more productive for the other 23 hours of your chaotic day.
That's it. That's the test.
And I think this is what makes these ideas so timeless, the universal application. What about for someone who hears terms like Brahman and Atman and thinks, well, this is too tied to one specific religion?
He is absolutely definitive on this. Meditation is a technology for the mind. It is not bound by any religion. It's a universal practice for anyone seeking mental and spiritual growth, period. It's a set of instructions for managing consciousness, and every single human has that.
And the final piece of advice has to be about consistency, creating a routine.
It has to be. Meditating once a week is like trying to get strong by lifting weights once a month. It just won't work. The mind needs that daily exercise, ideally at the same time and in the same place, to build the habit and see those really transformative results.
So we've really mapped out the entire systematic journey here from Vivekananda's meditation and its methods. He gave us this priceless resource, a timeless guide to cultivating self-mastery and ultimately spiritual enlightenment. through persistence and focus.
And we can end where we began, really, with that powerful idea of unification. We said the whole practice is about unifying the subject, your inner self, with the object ultimate reality.
So if that's true, consider this. What practical, tangible difference would achieving that unification make in how you approach your daily work? Your ability to learn, your interactions with the messy external world. If that divinity is truly within you, how does knowing that change the very next decision you make? That's the thought we'll leave you with today.